All right, guys, we have painted this. It has dried. I've put enough snow, I think, around the border. Normally I do sort of a rocky border, but we're going to try for all snow this time. I have mixed up my hard type resin that I bought, and I poured, it was clear, but I poured a little bit of the whitewater highlight into it because this is going to be a frozen pond. You can't skate on a clear pond. That to me would mean it's not frozen. So I added a little bit of white in there, like 2 little squirts, and we're going to go ahead and pour this. It's my first time doing it, so hopefully we don't screw it up. Okay, so I think this is going to probably need 1 more layer, but that's okay. Once this dries, just like the woodland scenics, you'll be able to make some more and pour that as well. So I think this is pretty good. And this will take, unfortunately, about, I think, 8 hours. So that's all for right now. And we'll come back when it's dry. There do appear to be tiny bubbles. I don't know if you can pick it up on camera or not, but I think that'll be fine. It's a frozen pond. It's out in nature. It's not always 100% smooth. So that's what we're going with. And hopefully I will see what it looks like. We'll come back when it is fully dry and hard, and we'll pour our second layer. Okay, so I tried 1 bottle of the resin, the realistic water. That was too blue. So we're going to just go with the regular uncolored because the base is painted. Again, this is self-leveling. So I'm shooting just, for the middle. Just a tiny bit more in there, guys. Okay, perfect. And then once this dries, we'll pour yet another coat, and this will dry completely clear. It looks a little cloudy now, but it will dry completely clear. Today we're going to be doing another waterfall video. I have my water effects by Woodland Scenics, and I have my wax paper. If you don't have wax paper, a glass plate would work. I haven't tried parchment paper, so I can't vouch for it, although it does have non-stick stuff on it, properties as well. So I like the wax paper though, and what we're going to make is a waterfall for this guy. Okay, I've made quite a few, so I'm going to eyeball it. It's okay if it's longer, because also you remember for your waterfall, again over here, you are going to fold a tiny bit over here and drape it down. So you don't want it, you wouldn't want it exactly, that size. You want a little bit longer. You can always cut it too. And it is rather a pain. I think that's long enough. Yeah. Okay, that's more than long enough, which would be great, because now if there's something weird, we can trim some of it. And so really then it just depends on how big of a waterfall you want. Not connecting there. Okay. I usually do about 5 or so. Okay. I said I usually do 5 and then I went and did 7. But I like to change up how big something is occasionally. In fact, I might even make it a little bit bigger. Might make it all the way across. So I need about, just eyeballing it, 3 or 4 more pieces. Oops. That needs to stay together. I have my 2 toothpicks. These actually have sort of flatter edges, so they're not just the same on both ends, which I kind of like just for this sort of thing. And what I'm going to do is drag these down. Make sure you keep your stuff connected, because this, you'll have big holes. Although we are going to do a part 2 after this. I never just put the waterfall up just like this. So, but this is step 1. I'm just there. I'm just doing this. Trying to make sure it sort of connects at the top. And this will, if you make it thicker, kind of like mine, it will take you, your product, your waterfall, a little bit longer to dry due to the thickness. I like to wipe off the extra occasionally. And you'll know it's dry when it is 100% clear. Now the bottle, I like with Unscenics, but don't believe the bottle. Okay? Because they must live somewhere where it's not very humid, because waterfalls here in Texas, or anywhere else, maybe if you live in Florida or somewhere, where it can be very, very, very humid, it will take a lot longer than it says. So it says, 48 hours or whatever to dry. Well, I've never had a waterfall dry that fast. Part of the reason I start my stuff now, for those wondering why I'm doing it now. Okay, you don't have to do this as much as I'm doing it. This is just my preferred look. Whoops, looks like I need to try to connect that to something. Okay. Then when it dries, I'm going to pour the realistic water over this. Okay. There. The good thing about the water effects is you can also use that as the glue to attach your waterfall once it's dry. And once it's dry, we'll come back, we'll pour the realistic water over the waterfall. It'll just give it a little bit more stability, and we'll go from there. So, waterfall is not 100% dry yet, okay? And it's not 100% dry because you see how it's still kind of milky, okay? However, I moved it off here. This is just the input. I moved it off here because you can do this part before this other part dries. It's fine. I've done it several times. If you want to wait for it to dry 100%, that is okay too. But I'm going to take Smallest amount of realistic water. I have a toothpick, and I'm going to pour it over it, and that will close those gaps, okay? And it also will make it more sturdy when you're handling it. You see how there's like, holes right here? Those holes are going to be closed by the realistic water. Oops. Okay. So you see how we made a bit of a mess right here. That is okay because the resin, when it dries, we can just trim that right off. I'm just scooching over so it doesn't hopefully fall off and onto my wooden table because that would have to be, obviously cleaned up right away. I'm just trying to spread it out a little bit. Again, being careful, but it is okay if it goes over. I think it's okay because it will dry and then you can just trim it off very easily. So I'm just scooting it down. And I use the one that's totally clear. I suppose you could put one that had a color if you wanted, but I just personally go with that. Okay, so that's okay. Like I said, it's a little bit over because once it dries, we'll just take little scissors or an X-Acto knife and just trim it off. So in just a minute, you will see what it looks like once it's all dried. Okay, this is not completely dry as you can see because it is not totally clear. However, it will dry completely clear. Just have to wait a little bit longer. That's the problem with doing this in Texas. It's so humid, it takes a long time to dry. So I've cut off some of the bottom here. I've cut off the extra, that seeped out on the sides, and then I trimmed this off because it was too big. That's okay though. I would rather make it too big and then trim it rather than it's too short and try to have to, just resign myself to the fact that I have to make a new one. So, also this platform is sturdy. Okay, so come on to the other side. I have my water effects. That is always difficult to squeeze. Oops, there we are. Okay, and remember this dries clear, so we are not worried about any of this. I don't know if you can see it's kind of smooshed up top here, but we're not worried about it because it will dry clear. All right. So now that's there. And I'm going to take more realistic water, squeeze it. And I'm going to get a paintbrush and we're going to sort of draw some of this stuff out. I have to move our platform. It's getting dirty and we haven't even started the Christmas season. So I have my paintbrush and I'm just sort of tapping to get, well, one, flatten it out because it will dry faster that way, but it's water brushing, right? And so it's not perfectly smooth like our frozen lake. Although you guys may not be able to see it, but I can see on my frozen lake a few tiny fingerprints. So we're going to probably just put the figurines over those to cover that up. That's kind of nice. Put a few more around there. There, just some movement, right? Because this is running water. Okay. Now, okay, now we're going to do the bottom. Sort of same thing. You know, you can pull up and, you know, pull down to make your, make all those ripples, right? And if we don't have enough, we can always add some more. The goal is to try for realism as much as possible. So, and do not set this outside. Y'all probably know this, but for maybe brand new villagers, first year, do not set this outside. Okay, so do not set this outside because, and I'm sure my experienced villagers know this, but we got new people all the time, which is wonderful. But if you set it outside, you run the risk of bugs. Okay, bugs, dirt, leaves, things. Even in here, there's some dirt on here, and we're going to have to use our little vacuum to get it off. Okay, so there's our completed waterfall. All of that will be dry. I probably could paint that part because the foamy water is kind of cool. I was going for a more frozen waterfall, but maybe that's next year. We'll see. Like I said, I might paint, you know, throw some white in there once it dries. But we're going to pretty much call this platform done. So thanks so much for hanging out with me. And I've already started on the next platform. And I can't wait to show you what we got going on there. Before I let you guys go, please remember to like, share, and comment. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.